Hello friends, welcome to our video on Ashwa old coins. The James Buchanan Dollar Coin does not exist as a regular coin in U.S. minting history. However, it is possible that you're referring to the presidential dollar coin issued by the United States Mint in the 21st century, which includes a coin featuring President James Buchanan. Below is a complete history and detailed information about the coin, as well as the presidency of James Buchanan from 1857 to 1861. The James Buchanan Dollar Coin is part of the Presidential Dollar Coin series, which was a set of U.S. coins issued to honor each U.S. president in the order they served. These coins were introduced in 2007 and continued until 2016. The Presidential Dollar Coin series was initiated by the U.S. Mint to honor the presidents of the United States, with each coin bearing the likeness of a U.S. president, starting with George Washington and continuing in the order of their presidencies. The coins were produced in golden-colored metal, although the coins were not made of gold. The series was part of an effort to revive interest in coin collecting and provide a tangible way to commemorate each president. Obverse front. The obverse of the James Buchanan coin features a portrait of President James Buchanan, created by engraver Don Everhart. The inscription reads, "James Buchanan, in God we trust," and the years of his presidency, 1857 to 1861. Reverse. Back. The reverse side of the coin features a rendition of the Statue of Liberty with the inscription, United States of America, and the denomination $1. Additionally, a mint mark, which represents the place of minting, e.g., D for Denver, P for Philadelphia, appears on the reverse. The James Buchanan Dollar Coin was released in 2010 as part of the series honoring presidents in order. Buchanan was the 15th U.S. president, so his coin was the 15th release in the series. James Buchanan, born on April 23, 1791, in Cove Gap, Pennsylvania, was the 15th President of the United States. His presidency is remembered for the country's deepening divisions over slavery and the events that ultimately led to the Civil War. James Buchanan was born into a family of Irish descent and was raised in a relatively prosperous household. He received a solid education and studied law at the Lancaster, Pennsylvania, office of the prominent lawyer and future U.S. Senator James Hopkins. Buchanan was admitted to the bar in 1812 and began practicing law in Lancaster, where he established his reputation as a prominent attorney. Buchanan's early political career began when he was elected to the Pennsylvania House of Representatives in 1814. Over the next few years, he would serve in various diplomatic and political posts, including U.S. Representative, 1821 to 1831, U.S. Minister to Russia, 1832 to 1833, U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania, 1834 to 1845, U.S. Secretary of State, 1845 to 1849, under President James Buchanan. Buchanan's diplomatic experience and his staunch support of the Democratic Party made him a formidable figure in American politics, especially as the nation struggled with the question of slavery and its expansion into new territories. James Buchanan was elected president in 1856, defeating John C. Fremont and Millard Fillmore. Buchanan's election occurred against the backdrop of growing tensions over slavery, which had already begun to strain relations between the North and South. Secession crisis. Buchanan's presidency is often criticized for his inability to address the secession of Southern states in the months leading up to the Civil War. He believed that the federal government had no constitutional authority to prevent states from seceding, and his inaction is often blamed for allowing the crisis to escalate. Dred Scott decision. 1857, one of the most significant events of Buchanan's presidency was his support for the controversial Dred Scott decision. In this landmark Supreme Court case, Chief Justice Roger B. Taney ruled that African Americans, whether free or enslaved, could not be citizens of the United States. The ruling also stated that Congress had no authority to prohibit slavery in the territories, further inflaming sectional tensions between the North and South. The Kansas-Nebraska Act and Bleeding Kansas. Buchanan supported the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which allowed the settlers of Kansas and Nebraska to decide for themselves whether to allow slavery. This led to violent confrontations between pro-slavery and anti-slavery factions in Kansas, known as Bleeding Kansas. Buchanan's presidency is often regarded as weak due to his failure to prevent the secession of Southern states following the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860. As Southern states began to secede from the Union, Buchanan remained largely passive, which set the stage for the Civil War that began soon after his term ended. End of Buchanan's presidency and legacy. James Buchanan's presidency ended on March 4, 1861, when Abraham Lincoln took office. Buchanan retired to his home in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where he lived out the remainder of his life. Buchanan is widely considered one of the least effective U.S. presidents due to his inability to address the growing sectional crisis. His passive approach to the secession of Southern states and his failure to act decisively during the outbreak of the Civil War have led to his low rankings in historical assessments of U.S. presidents. However, Buchanan's contributions to foreign policy, especially his work in securing the Oregon Territory and his efforts to maintain peace with foreign powers, are often seen in a more positive light. Buchanan's pre-presidential career in diplomacy earned him a reputation as a dedicated public servant. Buchanan passed away on June 1, 1868, at the age of 77. He was the last U.S. president to be born in the 18th century. Birthplace: Buchanan was born in Cove Gap, Pennsylvania, a small rural village located in Franklin County, Pennsylvania. His birthplace is now part of James Buchanan State Park. Presidency: as president, Buchanan primarily resided in Washington, D.C., where the White House served as the official residence and office during his tenure. Post-presidency: after his presidency, Buchanan returned to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where he lived until his death. Lancaster, located in southeastern Pennsylvania, played a key role in Buchanan's political career, as it was his home and the place where he built his early legal and political reputation. The James Buchanan Presidential Dollar Coin honors a complex and controversial figure in U.S. history. While Buchanan's presidency was marred by his inability to prevent the secession of the Southern states and his ineffective handling of the issues surrounding slavery, his contributions to U.S. diplomacy were noteworthy. The coin is part of the U.S. Mint's effort to commemorate all presidents, offering a modern way to remember Buchanan and the time in which he served.